I got one. I know we've had some, it's an easy one, Steve, don't worry.
Sure.
Yeah, I know we had some dancing around with the DNR, but when is you guys gonna break ground and keep moving forward this
Yeah,
season
we're
still?
going to get moving on it pretty quick here with the approval today. We had just a little bit with landscaping. We're trying to minimize landscaping and keep it more natural. I don't really want any trees when you have greenhouses and solar trees. So we might want to just come back and revisit more prairie-style landscaping there. So I wanted to, we submitted something, but again, after we kind of submitted, it was kind of, Leslie kind of said, I'd like to just keep it simple. So if you don't have a problem with that, it's just, there's a couple, about three trees on site. We're gonna probably relocate because that's near where the solar trees, which is closer to the building, is going. We'd like to do that and keep it natural. We had some issues with our discussions with the DNR, kind of cleaning up along the riverfront area. So we're not going into, we're just cleaning up, and we can do repairs. And there's also just a stormwater outlet there that probably we need some help maybe from the city, because that was the stormwater that goes out. And I think that was damaged when the river cleanup was done, and they probably came too close, and the outfall pipe is kind of damaged. So if we could get some help from the Public Works on that, that would be grateful. But again, this was transferred land that Leslie had transferred to the city, so we're gonna make improvements. Overall, it's probably gonna be $1.5 million, and they're gonna be doing the programming there. It's a nice addition. I mean, I was heavily involved with the Shaw Family Playground, and we worked with the city with that, so this is another improvement that people are trying to come together and help out with.
Perfect. Thanks,
Okay.
Steve. Further questions from commission members? Kim?
Will that area be fenced off? Because I know there is a problem with,
Well, we're gonna actually have,
Campers.
we got light poles there, so we have lighting 24/7. We actually extending the camera system there. So we're kind of taking down the berm that was kind of a deterrent, or kind of people were behind that. That was a hiding spot. The trees along the river area, we're removing a good share of those and connecting. And we'd like to help with the city's piers that they haven't had money to repair or replace those. We have some dollars that, with some continual fundraising, we want to have some of that, because we want to do, it's real nice with the ramp there to be able to do water testing and things like that. So we're going to do water testing from the river, also then do it from, because we have an inside lab area, if you've been in the building, to be able to do testing of that, plus then the water runoff that's coming off of the street on the river there, and then also from the ponds and from the roof. So you can see our acid rain or whatever we have, and to be able to do a little combination of all three of those, so.
thank
Does
you,
that
sounds
make
like a
sense?
very nice improvement to the
Thank you very
area.
much.
It's gonna look great. If the board approves it.
If the board approves, I'm,
We gotta add
I
some
ask for your
suspense.
approval.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Motions from commissioners?
Since he asked really nicely, to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval, state aye.
aye.
Any objection? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Next, similar item, item 11, specific implementation plan by Abacus Architects to construct site additions for outdoor learning experiences at Visit Sheboygan, located at the aforementioned parcel number. Elise?
Our specific implementation plan reflects the same information as the general development plan, so we're looking at the same thing.
Thank you. Applicant, any additional comments you'd like to add?
If you have questions for a civil engineer, he's here.
All right. Motions, questions from commissioners?
Move to approve.
Second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval, state aye.
aye.
Any objections? Chair votes aye. That is approved. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. You betcha. Let us know when the groundbreaking is. All right, next, item 12, determination if the amendments to the Ludke Apartments SIP specific implementation plan is a minor or substantial change. Elise, you want to tee us up with a staff report?
Yep. All proposed changes, revisions, and additions to any aspect of an approved PUD project shall be submitted to the Plan Commission for its review. The Plan Commission shall determine whether the change is minor or if the change is substantial. A minor change would include small modifications to the approved SIP. A substantial change would include major modifications to the SIP or modifications to the GDP, because the change materially affects the intended design of the project and the impact of the project on neighboring uses. Based on the significance of the revision, the Plan Commission shall also determine if public hearings may be needed to review the change. If the change is determined to be a minor adjustment to the SIP, the Plan Commission shall review the request and may approve change without a public hearing. So the change that we're looking at is for the, now it's called the Ludke Apartments, and they have removed some of the 3-bedroom units. So we went from a total of, let's see, we went from a total of 33 units to a total of 22 units, removing those 3-bedroom units. And then we also removed the garages, so our total parking stalls went from 64 parking stalls to 50 parking stalls. And those are the main changes to this site plan.
And I think another note too, it went from 3 stories to 2 stories now, right? Yeah, okay. Well, to me, it sounds like a minor change,
I would agree. It's a
unless
minor
there's any
change.
objection or other thoughts from commission members or the planning director.
Just one slight correction I would want to make, and I would confirm with the developer who happens to be here today. It is going to be 2 two-story buildings, a total of 32 units. 16 of them will be 1-bedroom and 16 of them will be 2-bedroom. So just, I want the record to show, I know Elise, you had mentioned 28, just to make sure that we have the record correct.
Perfect. Questions from commission members? All right, without objection, then we'll proceed. All right, item 13, specific implementation plan amendment by Jake Buswell to construct the new Ludke Apartments located at the aforementioned parcel numbers as mentioned on the agenda. Elise, staff report.
So what we're looking at now is the specific implementation plan amendment, which is what we've just discussed, the changes to the Ludke Apartments for the number of bedrooms, number of parking spaces, and the height of the structure.
All right, additional comments, Jake? Anything else? No? All right, questions from commission members? Motions from commission members?
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval, state aye. Any objections? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Awesome. Next is item 14, resolution number 662526 by Alderperson Close, approving the final plat for Northern Lights subdivision located at North Avenue between North 6th Street and North 7th Street. Elise, you have a staff report on this one?
The Plan Commission reviewed and approved the preliminary plat for this development. The final plat matches what was submitted in the preliminary plat. The proposed subdivision includes 21 single-family lots, and the proposed layout is fully consistent with the zoning requirements of the Neighborhood Residential 6 District.
All right, questions from our applicant? Any additional questions, comments? No? Questions from commission members? Joe?
Just had one question. I did attend the neighborhood meeting last week and was interested in the negative response to everything that's being single-story.
Sure.
During discussion, it sounded as if some 2-story homes being worked in was still a possibility. Does that still work given the current plat layout, or would the plat need to be modified to accommodate inclusion of 2-story units?
Taylor?
This is something that I had talked to Elise about shortly after that association meeting. She had shared that the site plan would not have to change, so we would be good as presented tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Question? That good? Okay.
So then are we to assume that there will be 2 stories that are included within the plan or not?
You're speaking for Payton Group. We're going to be doing the construction. And no, we are keeping the plans as is with single family. We've looked at the options and the possibilities, and with 21 lots, It'd be very difficult to start to mix things up more than we are.
Right, so a single family could still have a two-story home.
It could, but our plans are including single-story right now.
All right. Other question, Taylor, follow-up?
So just to verify, Scott, if someone came to you and said, hey, I'm willing to pay $200,000 or XYZ amount more for a two-story building, is that something that you would be willing to look at?
Of course, yes.
So just to clarify, a two-story project is not out of, is not out of the question entirely. It is still a possibility, acknowledging that there would be a monetary amount associated with that, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Joe?
Just noting that the feedback from the neighborhood was very disappointed in the single-story approach. So anything that can be done to accommodate incorporation of two stories would obviously be appreciated. But I understand there's a cost factor involved too.
Yes, sir.
Kim?
Where we do see these iterations, they're single-story homes, correct?
The site's planned for,
Like three versions with all the variations happening within the home?
no. If I may help
Yes.
address that as well. What we tried to show when we presented was a number of different elevations that all included different fixtures or different finishes and different appearances. So we're trying to make things have a wide variety of their appearance as we can.
Okay, lovely. With that presentation, will they be able to imagine a two-story home within that same framework that they're seeing single-story homes?
Yes.
Okay.
Additional follow-up? Questions? Braden?
Mine's going to go a slightly different direction than that. So I did tune into the committee of the whole and the finance personnel committee. I actually think it was Taylor that you answered this yesterday about the deed restriction. Was there any insight as to why Aurora wasn't willing to remove those?
Yeah, absolutely. So to catch people up to speed, after the committee of the whole meeting, the Common Council had directed staff to contact the previous landowner to see if they would be able to remove that deed restriction. Staff had contacted them, and it was apparent that Aurora had had a significant amount of turnover, especially in their executive area. With that being said, they had other priorities, and at this time, they were not willing to move forward. Density was also something that was discussed at that neighborhood association meeting. Alderperson Bellinger was there, and he had shared that the Common Council was very pro-density. When John had shared that, the room audibly groaned, so much so that I was caught off guard, and I had asked to do a pulse check. And I had asked the group to raise their hand if let's say they were pro duplex, multifamily, something of that nature. I think 2 or 3 people had raised their hands. I had asked who was pro single family, and the majority of the room had raised their hand. I think that really speaks to the concerns of the Common Council and then also concerns of the association.
Got it. And then I'll just put this out there because I recognize that Liz, our deputy city attorney, isn't here today, but the language in there does note like small lot, single family. So I don't know if that's a concern at all in the future, but if there is any opportunity to engage with Aurora in the future to leverage that as a point to have it removed to allow these lots to be more flexible 50, 100 years from now, rather than having that deed restriction in perpetuity, I think that'd be something that we could consider if they're ever open to that conversation again.
Yeah, that's something that staff can note. Additionally, when the association had heard of the density, they felt sometimes that it was too tight, and they had even asked if they would remove one home. So that's another concern of the association, but that's definitely a point that staff can take, and if something were to change, we can keep that in mind.
Got it. And then only other comment is for this body in the future, as we talk about zoning reform, just kind of noting that the NR6 zone doesn't quite match what the existing neighborhood is. So I'll just use the example of the block that this is on. The corner lots that we're looking at here are going to be larger and wider than the ones that are within the rest of the block. If you go down to the south end of this block, which has existing homes on it, the corner lots there are actually considerably smaller. They're 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet versus the 7,000 to 11,000 or 12,000 square feet that most of the lots within the rest of the parcel or that block are. So as we think about our zoning code, like, there's been a lot of discussion around it. I think there's been a lot of confusion. It just highlights how disconnected the current code is from our current built environment and how confusing that makes it for us, for city council, for anybody trying to go through this process to work with it. So as we think about that in the future, I think it's just a good note that the code doesn't quite capture our existing environment. A lot of the lots on that current block are smaller than what the code would allow. The average is about 7,500. The biggest one's about 12,500 square feet. They're all 45 to 65 feet wide. So as we think about zoning in the future, I think that's important. But I think this has been discussed and litigated enough, so I'm not going to try and pull any maneuvers this time like I did last time.
No worries. Okay, Taylor respond, and then city administrators queued up next.
Something I just wanted to note with that, as we think about the zoning code here hasn't been updated since the 1990s. So the city has engaged with Sam Schultz, who is rewriting the current zoning code. We got his first draft on Monday. The goal is to have that presented to you by August. So great point. I'm glad you brought it up.
City administrator?
And then back to your point on the deed restriction. So homeowners will be able to ultimately, it takes about 30 years and you can challenge that in court. So they could go back and challenge the deed restriction if that purpose is no longer applicable. So they could challenge that down the road if there isn't a blanket removal, because ultimately, as you're approving the plat now, you're breaking into numerous parcels. So instead of, that blanket going forward, individual homeowners could go challenge that, and it's allowed under law. So there is that option there. 30 years, I think it is. But it's, legitimately, that's the life cycle for, these homes hopefully will last much longer.
All right, Alder Close.
Thank you, and I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that I mentioned yesterday in the Finance Committee as well. Thank you again for your patience, and thank you again for going on behalf of the council to look into matters like the deed restrictions and things in order to investigate whether or not we can increase density. So like yesterday I mentioned, I would love to see more density in the city. Unfortunately, the deed restriction restricts us where we're at. However, I am glad to see this move forward so that we can bring more housing to Sheboygan in the short term. But again, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Additional comments from commission members? Kim?
I appreciate all the work that's gone into this. The one thing that kind of keeps nagging at me is I don't see this parcel of land solving Sheboygan's housing crisis. I would like the way we're moving, where we're looking more for a consistency within the neighborhood structure. I worry that we're blocking out the person who may come in and say, I want to buy 2 lots and put up a home across it. Is that even possible? We're always looking at this as then people buying their first homes. Whereas I wonder if there aren't people within the city who would like to move to the neighborhood, and then their home elsewhere in the city becomes someone else's first home. I feel like it's very concentrated on, we're gonna solve our housing problem within these 21 units, and that's not going to happen. It's simply not big enough. But we need to think about what could be bigger.
Understood.
That's it.
Perfect. Thanks, Kim. Any other, Casey?
The requirement of the developers agreement that we've entered into is to build 21 single-family homes. So to answer your question, can somebody buy 2 lots and build 1 home? No. We're trying to maximize the most amount of houses we can get on that property back to the previous statement, to try to do what we can to address the housing crisis with each project. And so, no, they can't build less homes.
Thank you.
All right. Final thoughts? Anyone else? Motions from commissioners?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and second. All those in favor of approval, state aye. Any objections? Chair votes aye. That is approved. All right, next meeting is July 29th, 2025. We've exhausted the agenda. What is the privilege of the commission? Moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, state aye. We're adjourned at 4:26. Thanks, everybody.